In the long-forgotten past, Lavos came to Earth. Hungry, he brought global destruction by tearing continents apart, absorbed all life, and after satiating his hunger for chaos, he rested, burying himself in the deepest abysses. Now, Lavos is waking up from its millennial slumber, growing stronger, feeding from the depths of the earth. In the near future, he will come out of the underground, and life on the planet will disappear again. Someone has known that future, and also known the past, and only that someone will be able to rewrite the tragic end of human history. Being an ambitious project, not having been divulged great details during the process, in 1995, after almost 2 years, the famous Dream Team, composed by Hironobu Sakaguchi, producer of the Final Fantasy series, Yuji Horii, director of the series of Dragon Quest games, Akira Toriyama, creator of famous manga such as Dragon Ball and Dr. Slump, producer Kazuhiko Aoki and Nobuo Uematsu, Final Fantasy musician, launches the long-awaited game Chrono Trigger. The whole team worked with the idea that this game would have to be innovative, involving multiple ends, giving great replayability, a fantastic story, a good battle system, and beautiful graphics. In the game, there are numerous references to events and names of mythologies, legends, and history. Confess, you have already become attached to some character in the game. History. Chrono starts the game in the Guardia Kingdom, in the year 1000 AD, where his mother wakes him up, and he goes to the Millennium Fair. There, he meets a girl named Merly, who becomes his friend, and they start hanging out together. At the fair, they are invited to test the new invention of Luca, Chrono's best friend. This new invention is a teleportation machine, which Chrono successfully tests. Merly also tests her. The pendant worn by Merly begins to glow the instant the machine starts working, and suddenly she is sucked into a mysterious portal. Chrono and Luca go after her and end up in the Middle Ages, 600 AD, where they discover that Queen Leene, who was missing, has been found. Chrono goes to Guardia's castle and discovers that the Queen Leene found was actually Merly. In that, Merly disappears in a blinding beam of light. Luca concludes that Merly was actually the Princess Nadia of their time, and very similar to the Queen of the year 600 AD. As Guardia's court found Merly thinking she was Leene, the search for the Queen was suspended, which would lead to Leene's death in the near future, and consequently, that of her entire offspring, including Merly herself. Chrono and Luca then go in search of the true Queen, in order to fix history. They manage to complete the mission with the help of Frog, a frogman. Using Luca's gate key, Chrono takes Merly back to Castle Guardia from her time. However, the Chancellor of Guardia accuses Chrono of trying to kidnap the princess. As a result, the Chancellor sentences Chrono to death. With Luca's help, he manages to escape from prison, and Merly runs away with them to a portal that was hidden in the forest that surrounds the castle. Traveling in the portal, they end up in the future, 2300 AD, where the world lies in ruins. From a computer from that time, they see a video from the year 1999 AD, which shows an alien parasite, called Lavos, emerging from the bottom of the planet, and completely destroying it. So Merly convinces Chrono and Luca to continue traveling through time in order to prevent Lavos from destroying the future. As the game progresses, new friends join Chrono's team, such as a robot named Robo, a prehistoric woman named Isla, and a frogman named Frog. Optionally, Magus, one of the game's antagonists, can join the team. Characters. Chrono is the protagonist of the game. He lives with his mother in the village of Truce, ruled by the Kingdom of Guardia, in the year 1000 AD. His accidental meeting with Merly starts his adventure to save the world. In 12,000 BC, when the group confronts Lavos in the Ocean Palace of the Kingdom of Zeal, Chrono sacrifices himself to save his friends. Later, the group can revive it. Merle is the princess of Guardia. Her real name is Nadia, and she lives at war with her father, the king. In the year 1000 AD, she joined the group to free herself and see the world. Luca is a genius inventor, inhabitant of Truce in 1000 AD and friend of Chrono. Drawing on her intelligence and creativity, like her father, Luca is able to make inventions, such as the gate key, which is used to open temporal portals around the world. Frog is a knight from the Kingdom of Guardia in 600 AD, whose real name is Glenn. He was Cyrus's squire, a knight of the square table. Glenn was turned into an anthropomorphic toad by Magus. Robo is a robot created to help humans and secretly study them as an inferior species in Protodome. It is found disabled and damaged, and is repaired by Luca. After reactivation, he joins the team, but forgets several important things, such as his birthplace. His serial number is R66Y. Isla is the chief of the Ioka tribe in 65 million BC. Her people are in constant war with the Reptites, an evolved and intelligent race of reptiles mixed with humans. Magus is a sorcerer from Zeal and brother of Scala, who was separated from his family by Lavos, and by Queen Zeal, who is corrupted by him. He seeks to find Lavos and destroy him in revenge. His real name is Janus. Gameplay. Like any good self-respecting RPG classic, Chrono Trigger innovates in the gameplay concept at the time. Characters during battle have beautiful movements, from simple attack, using magic to combo attacks. Speaking of combinations, there are several combinations between 2 to 3 characters, thus making the player explore more their creativity and the game. With fluid character movements and a vertical perspective that occasionally switches to horizontal. Not to mention the various endings, in the case of the SNS-10, which makes a more than great replay for the game. There are 2 battle modes in the game. Standby mode. In standby mode, while player characters use techniques or items, enemies wait for the player to choose the best one from the menu without attacking. The order of the 3 characters who will strike is given by the speed of each one. Active mode. Enemies don't wait to launch their attacks while the player chooses the best strategy from the techniques or items menu. Soundtrack. To talk about the soundtrack, we have to talk about Yasunori Mitsuda and Nobuo Uematsu and Eriko Matsueda, responsible for great soundtracks for classics like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Shadow Hearts, Covenant, Xenogears, Xenosaga Episode 1, Der will zur Mond and Mario Party, among others. Chrono Trigger's soundtrack is perfect, each moment having its remarkable music. During the battle, and immersive and exciting, even the defining moments having a moving soundtrack. In 2005, a group of musicians released the album Chrono Symphonic, a cinematographic interpretation. Curiosities. The PlayStation and Nintendo DS version have the same graphics and sounds as the Super Nintendo version, but both have the addition of CG, which are animated videos that show scenes from the game's story. The PS1 version was sold in a bundle called Final Fantasy Chronicles, which contains Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IV. This version received criticism because of the long loading time you had to wait every time you called up the game's menu. The DS version was adapted to play with the 2 screens of the device, in addition to improvements in the translation of the text, which led to a better understanding. There are also extra mini-games and a new boss, which even lets you see an extra ending. On the Nintendo DS, The game came with videos that had been included on the PlayStation, but here, there are no terrible huge loadings present on the Sony console. In 2011, for iOS system platforms, and 2012, for Android platforms, Square Enix released the game for smartphones and tablets. The mobile version was the same one that had been released for the Nintendo DS, with smooth graphics. Still in 2011, the Square Enix game appeared on the Virtual Console of the Nintendo Wii. The release version was the original Super Nintendo, and also on PlayStation 3, PlayStation Portable, PSP, and PlayStation Vita. There was a hacker group who were working on a remake of the PC game, but due to copyright laws, they were stopped by Square. Rating: Graphics 10, Gameplay 10, Sound 10, Story 10, Replay 10, Final grade 10.